So I was gonna wear a minion costume for this. I even got it out. It doesn't fit me though. But yeah, I really don't like Nintendo now. Not because of some stuff about they did. It's the only reason is because of the Switch. Kind of resembles the 3D lineup. You got the light version, the regular version, and the Pro version. Except for the Nintendo Switch Pro, all they did was expand the storage a little bit, expand the battery a little bit, and what else? They also gave it an OLED screen and increased the bezels. But that's more like a Switch. It would be like this: the Switch Zero would be the Switch Lite, the Switch One would be the regular Switch, and the Switch OLED, in my opinion, would be the Switch 1.5. It's not enough to be considered a full upgrade. You wanna know something? Fall Guys is having kind of a resurgence, right? I don't know if it's gonna fully come back or like partly, but it's on the Switch, right? And I've heard that it's laggy. I've heard that it lags a lot. More than like Thomas the Tank Engine when he thinks he can. Like, you know your console is severely underpowered when it has trouble running Fall Guys. And I'm more worried about Sonic Frontiers. If you don't know, Sonic Frontiers is the next mainline 3D Sonic game, and it's the first open world one. If you could consider it like that, like open worlds, like kind of like the Legend of Zelda. No, I mean Breath of the Wild. You might be saying, well, it ran Breath of the Wild fine, and while that is a reassurance, I don't know how it can't run Fall Guys. Like, Fall Guys should be smaller, like way smaller. And also, I don't think that helps. It kind of helps with the reassurance, but then also when they announced the DLC for Breath of the Wild, and it lagged so much, even at the showcase, it lagged so much. Why is a DLC running more? Why is a DLC for a game on a console running worse than the actual game? Okay, here's the problems. First of all, the Wi-Fi chip. Not a lot of people talk about this, but the Wi-Fi for the Switch sucks. Literally, look, I'm in my room, right? And I have my phone, right? The signal's at full, right? If I went to the Switch, it would be like halfway or like just very low. But on my phone, it's excellent. And you might be saying, well, it said iPhone X, of course it's going to be better. But the iPhone X was released in 2017. The same year the Nintendo Switch was released. So they should really upgrade the Wi-Fi chip, because first of all, you need to be really close for it to connect. And even then, half the time you need to be really close to it for the signal to be good. Which is just really weird in my opinion. First of all, the bezels. The OLED kind of fixed it, but first of all, it kind of made it worse. While you do have a bigger screen, it's lower quality because they didn't upgrade it to 1080p. It's still at 720p. So while you do have a better screen, a bigger screen, it is worse in quality. What they should do is do what Apple did to the iPhone X. Right? Get rid of the bezels, but this time when Nintendo gets rid of the bezels, they should upgrade the screen. Right? To even it out. So then that way you have a bigger screen, but also a bigger screen, but also better quality screen. And also Joy-Con drift. First of all, why do I have to fix it myself? I literally have to take the Switch apart, find the joystick part, and then take a little piece of cardboard and put it there. And you might be saying that's easy, but then why doesn't Nintendo fix it? You might be saying, oh, Nintendo does. No, they don't. They don't fix Joy-Con drift. They just replace the joysticks. So the same problem can happen. And they're only doing it because of a lawsuit. Before that, you had to buy new pairs, and not a lot of people knew that you could buy one Joy-Con. They thought you would have to buy entirely 2 new Joy-Cons. When they sold a package, they sold a lot with just one in them for like half the price, you know? And also, if you have a limited edition controller, there's a high chance that you won't get that same one back for some reason. Okay? And you might be saying, oh, well, I don't want to take it apart, so what can I do? Here are some solutions. First of all, you shouldn't trust me. It's just hypothetical. First of all, get a Q-tip, make one side wet with water, and then with the joystick, there should be a little flappy thing, right? And if you lift it up, it reveals the inside. Like, give me a minute. God, I have my switch in here. I only lost it again. But yeah, under the joystick, if you look, there should have a floppy piece. You'll need to make that stay up, and then get the wet part of your joystick, and then put it in there. Do a circular motion like this, clockwise for 10 seconds, counterclockwise for 10 seconds, and then for like 10 seconds, leave it to be, and then flip it back up, and this time with the dry side, rub it clockwise and then counterclockwise. Or take some, what was it? It's like alcohol, rubbing alcohol, dab it in one side, and if you need the percent, I would just Google it, you know, but yeah, take one side of the Q-tip, dabble in it just a little bit, flip up the joystick, and do it counterclockwise, and then, counterclockwise, wait for like 20 seconds, take the other side and do the same thing I just said, and that should fix it for like 2 weeks. Well, for me, that's how long it lasted. And this is still hypothetical, but this isn't, I can't confirm this. So if you're down on your luck and none of those solutions work, you don't want to open up your joystick, get a Q-tip, put a little bit of open up hand sanitizer, like dabble just like that, and then rub it into the joystick, and then wait a minute, and then get the dry side and rub it counterclockwise and then clockwise, right? And also, if any of those solutions work, what you need to do is that, first of all, make sure that it's disconnected. Okay, this is what I would do. I would disconnect the Joy-Cons, and then I would power off the switch, because you don't want any power running when you're trying to put liquids in something, you know? So yeah, make sure that there's no power running by turning off the console, and make sure it's turned off. And if you're really worried about it, you should wait until your switch is fully dead, along with the Joy-Cons. But yeah, and then after that, and if it does work, this is what you have to do. Go into settings, go to controllers, and then calibrate it, right? Like calibrate motion controls, calibrate both of them, and then calibrate motion controls. No, you know the first option where it's like, oh, move your joystick this way, this way, this way, this way, and then spin it. Yeah, when you're spinning it, make sure when you're spinning it, you're holding down the joystick so you're pushing in. And then do that for the same, for the other Joy-Con. And then there should be a calibrate option. You just need to disconnect your controllers, and then click calibrate controllers. And then you need to hold a minus or plus sign depending on which joystick it is. And then you need to leave it be on a flat, stable surface so it recalibrates. And then I would also recalibrate the console, and then that should work. But yeah, but let's get back on the topic. But yeah, so I don't know why they hadn't fixed Joy-Con drift yet. And when the Switch OLED released, there was speculation that they had fixed it because of bands that were located under the joystick, right? And Nathaniel Bandy said it best. It was everything wrong with the Switch OLED video, and it was like, okay. Why should I be worrying about this? I shouldn't be worrying if Nintendo fixed Joy-Con drift. It should be a guaranteed, and I agree with him on that. Okay? And also, why aren't there slots for the Switch? Like, okay, you might be saying, oh, but the Joy-Cons charge with the console, but half the time it doesn't. Like, what if this is, like, I want to charge the Joy-Con separately, so it's more convenient than, like, what if my Nintendo Switch was on 50% and then the Joy-Cons were at 25? It would charge the console first, but what if I just wanted to play games and just wanted to charge my controller? They should make it so that there's a little plug. Like, imagine this says the Joy-Cons, the plug should be right here. And make it USB Type-C too. Okay? So then that way I can charge them separately. And there is a stand for it, but I didn't know that. I thought that Nintendo didn't really, like, advertise, oh, you can charge the Joy-Con separately. And also, wireless charging, like, I can get for the Joy-Cons because, they're not flat, right? They can waddle around, but the Switch is completely flat, right? So I don't know why that can't be wireless charged. So I don't know why the Switch console can't be wirelessly charged. And also there should be 2 headphone slots. Like, first of all, why did it take a Nintendo so long to implement Bluetooth? When I got the Switch, right, I wanted to plug in my AirPod. I wanted to connect my AirPod Pros to them. But there was no Bluetooth. So I had to get old headphones. And if I was using it on my bed, it would be so inconvenient to have to plug it on top. Why can't you make it so that it can be plugged on top and on bottom, so it's more convenient? Okay. What else? Also, the cooling should be way better. Like, take a lesson from Apple. Okay, first of all, they have a really good cooling system. Really good. Like with the newest MacBook with the M1 chip or whatever, somebody tested it, right? And it took a lot, right? It took it took more than a Chrome. It took like multiple, like I'm pretty sure it can run 4K videos at 60 frames per second with like practically zero fan noise. Because they have really good fan installation in their MacBooks and iMacs. So why can't a Nintendo take a lesson from Apple and do the same thing? I don't want to be playing the newest Mario Kart 9 and having to hear a giant fan being blazed into my ear. Like, you can't even hear the game because of the fans. So why don't you just take a lesson from Apple and you maybe team up with them or like figure out how to make a really good cooling system. You want to know what? Maybe add a heating system too. Like maybe if you're using it outside and it's really cold, you don't want like the joysticks to freeze up or like a part in the Switch to be cold. The heating system could activate. And also upgrade the chip. Literally, Nintendo doesn't want to do that for some reason. Like, okay, let's talk about it like this. The chip is being unsupported now. NVIDIA, I think, or something like that. No. When they made the chip in 2017, it was like fairly brand new, right? Whatever year it was released. Nintendo is still using it. And now they're dropping support. They said that the reason they're dropping support for this specific chip is that it's getting too old. So Nintendo ordered like 3 million, or like a lot. And you might be saying, wait, why would they order a lot though? Like, that just seems a waste of money, but it kind of doesn't. Because that'll make sure that the Nintendo Switch will last a long time. Right? Like, it didn't even sell. I think they brought, how do I give an example? Like, let's say this Nintendo bought 16 billion chips, right? They will never sell that amount in a year. Even on the year the Switch was released, they didn't even get half that in this example, right? So that just means that no matter how many years it takes, Nintendo can always just not upgrade it because they have like a huge supply of chips to put in the Switch. So that raises the question, oh, what if the chips, what happens if they do run out? And there's a lot of options, but I'll tell you the most likely ones. Either Nintendo will upgrade it. Okay, let's say this, hypothetically. The chip was a NVIDIA N7, hypothetically, right? It was the NVIDIA N7, right? And it's unsupported. Either this is what would happen. They would update it and, like, have the newest chip inside, or Nintendo would just buy the NVIDIA N8 chip in this hypothetical solution until that drops support, and then they'll get the NVIDIA N9 chip in this hypothetical thing, right? Or they'll just make another console, or they'll start making their own chips that'll like very similar to hypothetically like NVIDIA, right? Like the ones they are using right now. Or they'll work with another company or another chip manufacturer and like make a deal with them to keep on giving them the very similar chips. Okay? And also, it's another thing I don't get with the MacBook and the Switch. Why is there no cellular? Like, I can get for the iMac because, it's not meant to be portable, but the MacBook is meant to be portable. You might be saying, oh, well, a lot of places have free Wi-Fi, and a lot of that is unsecured. A lot of it's unsecured. It's really dangerous. Right? You're just doing a gamble of whether somebody can get in your device or put a virus on it. So why isn't there any cellular? And you might be saying, oh, well, what if you just personal hotspot it? Well, that's just really inconvenient. Why do I have to go into settings, go to cellular, make sure it's on, go to personal hotspot, make sure it's on, and then put it near my MacBook, and then hope it scans it, because sometimes you have to turn it off and on, the Wi-Fi, for it to be detected, right? And then enter the password, press join, hope it joins and it doesn't say wrong password or unable to join. And even then, hopefully it works, because then if you use your phone while you're giving someone else a personal hotspot or another device, it really slows down that device that's relying on your cellular, right? And that's just really inconvenient to do. Why not give the MacBook cellular? And that's another thing with the Switch. It's meant to be portable. Why not give it cellular? That's another problem I had with the 3DS, but that thing had internet. Literally, the only way I know how to get Google on the Switch is via DMS server using Wi-Fi, DMS settings or something like that. But yeah, why? Give them cellular. Give them 4G. Don't give them 3G, because 3G is not even supported anymore. Give them 4G. And I think this is, if Nintendo was supposed to give them cellular, this is what they would do. They would give the Switch 4G. Then if Apple was forced to, they would give the MacBook 5G. Right? But yeah, yeah, and also while the Switch does have Bluetooth, it has no mic support. So say you can have Bluetooth, and so like if a character is walking up, you can hear it from here, but then and you won't hear it here. So if a character is walking up here on your screen, you'll hear it on this one, but not this one. But if they're like leaving off screen like this way, then you'll hear it on this headphone and not that one. But it still doesn't have mic support. So yeah, but props on them for having USB Type C. And I think the only reason the Switch is alive is because that's the only way you can play Nintendo games. The only way you can play the newest Nintendo games is on the Switch, because it's really hard to find ROMs for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's really hard. Right? So the only way so it'll take like days to find a ROM. I couldn't even find one, and it took me hours. Right? So the only other way you can play it is if you buy the newest Nintendo console and then buy the game. That's the only reason. If Nintendo offered made it so that you can play any Nintendo game, like Mario Kart 8, the mainstream good ones, on like Xbox, PlayStation, then the Nintendo Switch would flop, because why would I buy a console that has a trash Wi-Fi chip, trash processing, really loud fan. It can't wireless charge, it has no cellular, it has Joy-Con drift. Why would I want that when I could just spend like a little bit more money for a console that can play the games way better and doesn't have any of those issues? That doesn't make sense to me. And then I think Nintendo knows that. My solution by the Switch is, like, if we boost Nintendo sales so much that if we buy a lot more Switches, then eventually Nintendo will run out of chips. Like, we just oh yeah, let's just buy a Switch here and there, right? Like normal people. Then Nintendo would have years on the Nintendo Switch's lifespan. But if we would all collectively continue to buy even more and more Switches, give them away, or resell them or something like that, then Nintendo would eventually run out. And then we'll have them in a corner. So yeah, also Sonic Colors, the Sonic Colors put a lag here and there on the Switch, but that's probably expected. But Sonic Frontiers is going to be way bigger, possibly even bigger than The Legend of Zelda. And the Switch can't even handle the Legend of Zelda DLC. So it's probably going to struggle to run the Sonic one. So either this is what's going to happen. Either it's going to struggle to run it, right? Or Sega's going to have to make a special version for the Switch. In fact, I'm gonna go to the Sega TikTok account and then ask them this question. I'm really excited for Sonic Frontiers, and I noticed it was coming out for the Switch, but don't you think Sonic Frontiers is going to be too big for the Switch? So are you gonna do anything about it? Sonic Frontiers looks like it's gonna be really fun, but won't it struggle to run on the Switch since the Switch is underpowered? The Switch is cool, believe me, but won't it struggle to run Sonic Frontiers? And I doubt they'll respond. And if they do respond, it's probably going to be like a classified response, like, oh, we can't tell you, or they're going to dodge the question. So it's like this. let's say there's 150% chance, right? 150, right? There's a 50% chance that they won't respond, 50% chance that they will respond but dodge the question, and then a 50% chance that they'll directly answer the question. And I don't think they will, because like, you know, they don't want to give too much away. But yeah, Sonic Frontiers does look really good though. But I'm just worried about the Switch version. Like for the PS4 and PS5, the Xbox and stuff, like, yeah, I can obviously run it. But for the Switch, I don't think so. And some people actually expect Steelwood Studios to make a port of Security Breach for the Switch. They will not. The game is too huge. First of all, here was some of the problems. People were worried about the gigabyte stuff, and they were like, "Oh, it's a huge game," so maybe that's why. But that is part of it. But it was also that there were a lot of unused stuff that were just left in the game. So when Steelwood updated it, they just got rid of those, that excess data that they didn't need. But yeah, so and it had optimization problems on PC and PlayStation 2. Like, it's a huge game, right? It's a huge game, right? Like, the lighting is really good. It's a huge game, right? But the Switch can't handle it. I think my phone has a better chance of running Security Breach better. Like, Mr. Who's the Boss said that he thinks that the iPhone 12 Pro Max is powerful enough to run a Spider-Man, a mobile port of Spider-Man for the PS4. He thinks that, oh, the iPhone 12's processing and data is strong enough to run how do I say this? A mobile port of Spider-Man for the PS4. And I mean, Spider-Man for the PS4 is really huge. And sure, even if they do make a mobile port and it hypothetically can run it, they're gonna have to cut a lot. Or they're gonna have to make you download that later. So then so yeah. So if hypothetically, the newest iPhone can run a mobile port of Spider-Man for the PS4 with like the main story and most of the side missions and most of the content, then it has a higher chance of being able to play FNAF Security Breach than the Switch. And Nintendo, you know you messed up when a phone has a higher chance of running a FNAF game than your console does. How does a phone, right? Something that's not as big as a Switch, you know, have a higher chance of playing a FNAF game than a Nintendo-made console. That baffles me. I'm pretty sure a phone has a better chance and a higher chance of being able to play Fall Guys. I'm pretty sure it'll be way less laggy and it'll be a better experience. You know you done messed up when a phone plays a better game than a Nintendo-made console does. Like, Nintendo, update. Make the Nintendo Switch Pro. Update the Wi-Fi chip, update the chip, get a really good cooling fan like with the MacBook and stuff. Or figure out how to make your own. Make two headphone ports, one on the top and one on the bottom. Let you wireless charge the Switch. Put a port on each Joy-Con on right here, so you can charge it using USB Type-C. And make a stylus for it too while you're at it. And no, just do it, man, please. I'm actually enjoying my phone's games more than the Switch. I want to know something. My phone is better than the Switch. It has more gigabytes. I'm worrying about gigabytes on my phone. And basically, the reason I had to cut the last video short was because it said, oh, your storage is like, oh, too much. And I figured out something. I have an app called Photo Vault where I have a bunch of TikTok videos, right? And I was like, oh, what if this is it? So I deleted it, and that was it. Right? My phone has like 64, 65 gigabytes. I think more than the base model of the Switch. Right? And that just baffles me. That just really does. But yeah. And also the only real thing I have a problem with is like with Apex Legends. It's a really fun and cool game. And I accidentally did delete it though. So I'm gonna have to worry about that because, you know, of the storage thing. But the only problem with it is that, you know, I'm used to playing on a controller. So like if I'm probably just gonna buy an add-on, like that'll let you just put it on the back of your phone case. So like this part will let you zoom in, and then there'll be a trigger on the back that'll let you like shoot it, you know, like LNR. I'll probably buy that. But yeah, update your console, Nintendo. Just do it.